return values from methods may be references to objects. Let's see this. And this is something I'd like to illustrate in a little bit more detail. So you can see for this, let's say in the point class, right? Let's assume that we got x and y coordinates attributes as we saw before. And then let's consider this particular, also we got this move up by this many units. That's also something we saw previously, right? And this is a new method I would like to illustrate to you. So let's say we got move up by over here. Okay, notice that I simply spelled it differently. I could have spelled it the same. I can without a d. You can see this extra d. So this extra d will make sure these two methods actually have different names. That's definitely fine. I can alternatively, can I alternatively actually simply say move up by over here, and then simply just use that as a second method as opposed to this one. So that's something I will encourage you to try and see if that would be valid. If you simply get rid of d. If it is valid, why? If that's not valid, why not? Right? That's some exercise for you. All right, let's go on. And then this method here, you can see the return type over here is simply a point. That means the method is going to return the reference of some point objects. And then, so that's the body of the method. I would say take a look at this particular method to see if you can visualize some call to this particular method. What is it going to compute and also return? That's something I would like to illustrate right away. Let's now switch to iPad. So that's the point class I just talked about. Okay, let's see what methods we have. But we assume we actually got a private attributes x and y coordinates for the two-dimensional points. Just remember that. All right, so that's we got two methods over here, and let me highlight it. You can see the first one here, void move up by. So because you're returning void, so this is a mutator. Just make sure you're aware of that. Okay, so this is a mutator, right? Which means it cannot be assigned to something else, right? It cannot be used as a value, which we spoke about last week. And also we got this method over here, which returns a point over here. And I didn't really declare that to be public, but you can definitely do so, just for saving the space. Okay, and over here, the point over here, so this will be an accessor. It's going to return another object rather than modifying the context object over here, right? So not modifying the context objects. And on the other hand, the mutator would be modifying the context objects. Right? So just an observation to actually show to you. All right, so now let's trace the code very quickly. Let's say we got a point tester over here, just a console application. You can turn it into a JUnit test if you wish. So let's now trace line by line. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 lines to trace, but we're going to step into calling this particular accessor. That's what we will do. Okay, let's do one by one. Before I do that, I'd like to just give you some conceptual rehearsal quickly. Okay, what we want to do is, first of all, we want to create P1 over here. We want to first of all create, let me just use green. Okay, we want to first of all create P1 over here, and P1 is going to be 2.5 and minus 3.6, right? So it's going to be somewhere around over here. So it's going to be P1 and then 2.5 minus 3.6. So that's the point. And then notice what's happening here. When we say P1 that move up, so this one here, we're calling the mutator method over here. So that means P1 itself is going to be changed, right? So that means P1, rather than staying over here, let me use, okay, that's going to be a mutator. So P1, rather than staying over here, is going to move up by 7.8 units. So that means it's going to move up to somewhere around over here, right? So P1 is going to be here instead. So it's going to be 2.5 and then 7.8. It would be, I think, a 4.2, something like that, right? Okay, you get the idea, right? That's really conceptually what the mutator will do. You simply move the points itself to elsewhere. And then, so here is the conceptual distinction you have to make. And then we say point number 2 is going to be P1 that move up by 6.4, right? So we are calling the accessor method over here, which is going to return another points. and the address of this point object is going to be stored into P2, meaning that P2 is just going to point to wherever the return value is pointing to, right? So that's something we'll trace in detail as well. But now P2 over here is going to be a separate points, right? It will be basically corresponding to P1 move up by another 6.4 units. Let's see what's going to happen here, right? So now you can think about P2 is just going to be another points, and then it's going to be P1 move up by 6.4 units. So it will still be 2.5, but now plus 6.4, it would be 10.6, right? So that'll be P2. So now you really want to get a conceptual clarification over here. When we call P1 the move up, we are really moving P1 from here into here. And when we call the accessor method to return another address to be stored in P2, we are really creating just another point P2 over here. That's really important. But now, just having the conceptual clarification may not be sufficient. Let's now try to do some detailed tracing together. All right. So, but you get an idea. Let's now, first of all, try to trace the code. Line number 1, we are trying to do this, right? I just highlight it. So we are trying to create this particular objects, right? This one, you know how to do it, so I'll just visualize it quickly. So that means P1 is actually going to point to a point objects in the memory, and the template will just be point. And then the structure for the point will just be the two private attributes x and y. It's going to be 2.5 and minus 3.6. 2.5 minus 3.6. You can see this correspond to the P1 we just created, right? I'll try to be consistent with the coloring over here. And then we try to call the mutator method over here. We say P1 the move up 7.8, right? To trace this method call over here, you can see P1 is the context objects. P1 is the context objects. And then we are calling basically move up. So we're calling this particular move up method over here. We're calling this, and then this implicitly we know that it's going to be this dot y is assigned to this y dot y plus I, right? I didn't really write it down, but we knew before. Whenever you got attribute name over here, unless there is variable shadowing, otherwise if you put variable attribute name over here, implicitly they will be this. Right? We spoke about this many times already. So you can think about implicitly, we really got this dot y, and also this dot y here as well. And what will be this? This will just be P1. So this will be replaced by P1, replaced by P1. So we really got P1 dot y, P1 dot y, P1 dot y is assigned to P1 dot y plus I. What is I? I in this case will be 7.8, right? Let me just notice that, right? You should really get, hopefully up to now, you should have been very comfortable about tracing this visually. So plus 7.8. So what that will do is it's going to say, rather than having this, it's going to be 4.2. And you can see what we have done so far. This part here is about just about modifying P1 into here, right? So now P1 is really the same point. Is really the same point objects, but now it's really corresponding to just another position, 4.2 over here. All right. All right. Let's now try to trace this particular line over here. Yep, let me just highlight it. How about this line over here? Let's look at the right hand side. So the right hand side over here, we are trying to call P1 the moved up by, so we're calling the accessor over here. That's what we're doing. And then, so this will be 6.4. So this will be 6.4. And also P1 will be the context objects. So that means every occurrence of this will be replaced by this. Do we have any this keyword? Actually, we do, actually. You can see the X and Y over here. So these are really implicitly has a this, right? Remember we got attribute values X and Y, right? So here it will be implicitly will be this dot X and also this dot Y. And then, so now this will just be replaced by P1. So this will be just replaced by P1 and also P1. And what we're doing internally over here, let's go over line by line. First line, we're going to create another new point called MP. MP is going to be a new point whose x is going to be P1.x. So P1.x. And then y will be P1.y. So P1.y over here, right? Over here. Let's now create MP. So now we're creating another object over here, MP. You can think about MP is simply just going to be another, going to store the address of another point object over here, right? And then it's also going to be points. And also with the same structure x and y. And then this part over here, let me just give you a little bit of explanation over here. So this will be if you go, you can definitely refer to the constructor for points, but this will boil down into mp.x is assigned to p1.x, right? And also mp.y is assigned to p1.y. This is what's going to happen, right? You can see the argument here is p1, p1.x, and also p1.y. And then we're creating, we are using them to initialize mp.x and mp.y. All right. So what's going to happen is mp.x is assigned to p1.x, right, over here. So that's going to be 2.5. And similarly, mp.y is going to be assigned to p1.y, which is 4.2. Okay, let me put 4.2 over here. Right? It really corresponds to basically just using this point internally, right? But we're just going to go on. Right, let's now try to do the next line. And here, the context object is MP. And we are trying to call the mutator method to modify this MP, right? This MP over here, you can think about when we create an MP, MP temporarily is actually just you can think about it's really the same points over here. It's just a different object you can think about, right? They're not really the same object but different. So that's why I don't want to really just overlap. You can think about they're really the same in the same location, MP and also P1. And then I'm going to move MP actually all the way to here. That's what I'm going to do, right? So if I try MP.move up, right? So I'm going to call this move up by I'm going to call the move up. You know what? This typo over here, there shouldn't be by over here. Just move up. All right. So now if I try to say, you know what? I think if I refer to the slide very quickly, beg your pardon. Let me just take a look. I don't want to be. Oh, okay. So it's move up by. Beg your pardon. So this will be move up by. Okay. So this is really calling the mutator method again. But now the context object will be MP. So what we're really doing is we're going to say, so this will be replaced by MP. And this will be replaced by MP. So what we're doing is MP.y is going to be MP.y plus I. What's I over here? I is going to be exactly just the I in the input parameter, which is 6.4. Right? It's going to be that. So what we're going to do is we're going to increase this value over here by 6.4. So now rather than this over here, 6.4 is going to be 10.6. All right. So far, I hope you're fine. And then eventually we're going to return MP. We're going to return this address over here. You can think about this particular part over here. This particular part over here is going to return the local variable MP. And then MP, the return value, is going to be stored into P2. And remember, we talked about how to copy addresses, right? So now P2, after copying MP into P2, so now P2 is going to point to wherever MP is pointing to, right? So what's P2? P2 is just another variable we declare. So here, so P2 is just going to point to wherever MP is pointing to, right? And then we're going to say system.out.println eventually. System.out.println, and we want to simply check to see whether P1 would be the same address as P2. So P1 equals P2, right? We're comparing addresses. Is that the case? So you can see here, let me highlight it. P1 is pointing to this particular object over here versus P2 is actually pointing to this particular objects. They are simply different objects. So that's why this comparison over here should be false. Okay, let me just write better. All right, so that's about the detailed tracing over here. It's quite a bit of work, you can see, because internally inside this method over here, we are creating a new local variable objects, which is definitely allowed. This might be something you haven't seen before, so it's good for you to see that. And also we can call mutated method to modify the local variable objects, like this object over here, right? And then eventually we're going to return the address of this local variable objects, and that address is going to be copied over to some other variable in other scope. And then eventually we can compare P2 and also P1. That's basically what's happening for this little tracing over here. All right, hopefully you're okay with that.